Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we are diving into a really profound mindset shift. We're going to look at how moving away from constantly forcing outcomes and instead cultivating some deep presence can actually unlock opportunities you literally never knew existed. If you've ever felt, stuck or frustrated, the timeless wisdom we're unpacking today is absolutely going to be a game changer for you. Okay, so we've all heard this traditional proverb, right? When one door closes, 100 open. But think about how we usually react when a literal or metaphorical door slams shut right in our face. Maybe a relationship fails, a career path completely derails, or, I don't know, a lifelong dream just doesn't survive contact with reality. Our standard reaction? Well, it isn't usually peaceful acceptance. Our immediate impulse is to fixate entirely on the loss. Usually we hear the phrase, another door opens, and that kind of implies a straight hallway, right? Like you lose one thing, you replace it with another, and your continuous linear path is restored. But the actual original proverb says 100 open, and that just shatters that whole hallway illusion entirely. I mean, 100 doors implies this vast, sweeping architecture that we simply couldn't see because we were so hyper-fixated on the closed door. The closed door wasn't the only way forward. It was really just the way we had planned. But despite that vast architecture being right there, what do we actually do? We literally press our hands against the wood and we push. We bargain with the lock, completely certain that if we just apply the exact right amount of force at the exact right angle, the door is going to give. But here's the thing. Our deepest human suffering often doesn't actually come from the loss itself. It comes from our relentless insistence on forcing what simply cannot be forced. Which brings us to part one, the disease of forcing, and why those 100 doors remain invisible. So, to understand why those doors stay hidden from us, author Robert Greene points to a master con artist from the past named Joseph the Yellow Kid Weil. Weil built an entire empire dangling free real estate and fixed horse races. And why did people fall for it? Well, because he exploited a much subtler greed inside all of us. It's not just about, stealing. It's this intense desire for abundance without doing the slow, unglamorous work of actually earning it. The mere prospect of easy money or a quick fix activates this ancient impatience in us that whispers, hey, there must be a shortcut. Now, Greene is pointing out something much larger than just financial scams here. And what happens when we can't force our way through? We get angry. But as the proverb goes, anger is literally only one letter away from danger. It's the ultimate emotion of forced control, right? It's us demanding the world be different than it is right now, just by the sheer force of our feeling. And it's incredibly costly. The Dalai Lama actually offers a brilliant counter-approach to this. A calm mind brings true inner strength. And he doesn't mean a detached, uncaring calm, but the kind of calm that comes from genuinely releasing your grip and deciding that, hey, the world's refusal to cooperate with my plans isn't a personal attack. Moving on to part two, the foundation, specifically casting the net, which is the foundational mindset shift we need to actually cure this disease of forcing. The great writer Leo Tolstoy uses this absolutely brilliant metaphor of a net. Think about it. When you aim your love or your efforts, you're actually still forcing things. You're setting conditions. You're deciding who deserves it. You're bringing an agenda to the table. But a net isn't aimed. It's cast. Tolstoy tells us to cast a network of love everywhere, completely unconditionally. Whoever gets caught in it receives it simply because you were casting, not because they met some strict set of conditions. Actually yielding that control is a true antidote to forcing. Okay, so how do we actually do this in real life? Well, wisdom traditions provide 3 super clear practices of presence that act as alternatives to forcing. We need to live the questions, truly see, and walk slowly. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke offers some quietly radical advice here. He says, be patient with what is unsolved in you. Trust that you are growing, even when you cannot yet see the form your life is taking. We are constantly taught to chase answers, to treat uncertainty like it's a huge problem we have to fix immediately. And Rilke is basically telling us to just stop. Which brings us right to practice 1, leave the questions. The deepest questions of your life aren't riddles to crack, they are companions. Think about thinkers like George Raveling and Joseph Campbell. They describe the space between what was and what is not yet as a threshold, like an underworld or a wilderness. This liminal space right after the door closes, that is sacred ground. The question isn't whether you'll pass through it. The real question is whether you will be truly present for it or if you're going to spend the whole time desperately trying to force your way out. And that leads us nicely to the second practice, beautifully captured by the writer Annie Dillard. She says, even briefly, the ordinary catches fire. She makes this profound observation that the world around us dulls, not because the world itself has dimmed, but because we just stop showing up to it. Our eyes are always drifting toward the next thing on our to-do list. So, practice 2 is to truly see. The remedy here is to just stand still long enough for things to become specific again. We tend to throw this thin, boring coat of familiarity over everything, right? Like a tree is just the generic category of tree. But truly seeing, much like Mark Twain noted that actually reading requires genuine contact with a book, means taking the time to let the world be specific. And when you do that, just like Dillard says, the ordinary catches fire. Now for the most physically embodied practice of presence, coming from the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard. Every day I walk myself into a state of well-being and walk away from every illness. I have walked myself into my best thoughts. I love that. Notice the profound emphasis there on the physical act of slowing down, which actually effortlessly carries us right into our final practice. And practice 3 is simply to walk slowly. Walking is kind of the ultimate physical refusal to rush. I mean, you cannot run to the profound answers Rilke talks about, and you definitely can't speed past the tree Annie Dillard wants you to truly see. Walking is the pace where the world actually becomes legible. And beautifully, every single step is a small act of trust. It's the physical enactment of not forcing, trusting that the ground will hold and the path will continue, even when you can't see the final destination. All right, part 3, the community we need and why we simply cannot cross the threshold alone. The Shawnee leader Tecumseh gives us this incredibly blunt, tangible metaphor. A single twig, it breaks easily under intense pressure, but a bundle of twigs holds firm. Strength isn't just a personal, solitary quality we muster up, it is structural. Your ability to withstand the pressure of a closed door relies directly on the community you are bundled with. So who exactly is in that bundle? Well, the Celtic tradition has this beautiful word for it, anam cara, or soul friend. As John O'Donohue explains it, this is someone who sees you as you actually are, completely beneath your performance or your usefulness. And they just stay with you in the threshold. They don't try to force you out of it. It connects perfectly to Coach John Wooden's idea that character is transmitted through presence, not lectures, or even Simon Sinek's view that true leadership is really an act of service. It's being an anam cara to those you lead. But look, a bundle of twigs involves imperfect people, so how does it actually hold together without snapping? Coach Tony Dungy, drawing on the book of Romans, gives us a very concrete application. Stop condemning each other. When conflict inevitably arises, and it will, the very first move must be grace, not judgment. The bundle holds because the people in it consistently choose to offer forgiveness rather than escalating the conflict through forced judgments. When we weave all these philosophical threads together, a really clear pattern emerges. Every single lesson we've discussed today, casting the net, living the questions, truly seen, walking slowly, and gathering your bundle of twigs, every single one is a movement from grasping to releasing. It's all about receiving. Conversely, every shadow, withholding love, forcing answers prematurely, rushing past the familiar, or trying to break through alone, is a mistake of premature forcing. It's just us insisting the world comply with our tight little schedule. Which brings us right back to where we started. When that one door closes, the 100 doors aren't some reward for pushing harder against the wood. Turn around. How we hold our experience determines exactly what we are capable of seeing. When you finally cured the disease of forcing and you just release your grip, you realize the 100 doors are already open. They have literally been open all along, just waiting for you to notice them. I want to wrap up this explainer by leaving you with one provocative question to carry with you today. What if the life you have been waiting for is the one you are already inside? What if it isn't waiting behind that locked door, but is right here, in this specific day, within these specific unanswered questions? Let that reorient your perception today. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this material. Keep your eyes open, and hey, don't forget to walk slowly.